Miami, Florida, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Patriots Perspective with Christi Tasker. Your news behind the government's facade. Don't fall victim to propaganda or spend another 30 days in the tech gulag. Turn off your television and just listen. Hear the most mind-opening hours of your life as we interview whistleblowers and real patriots for uncensored truth. The Commie News Network and Facebook cannot control the power of Jesus Christ. Therefore, they have no power over us. There aren't enough Vegas strippers to fake check what's coming. Put in your earphones and avoid the tech tyrants. Subscribe to patriotsperspective.com now and see the evidence and action items to help you take back your God-given rights, government, and expose Satan and his demons taking up residence in your community. Be sure to hit the like or rumble button and comment to tell us where you're holding the line.
That's right, everybody. Here we are coming to you live from Miami and somewhere where we cannot say. And welcome to the show, Penny. Penny, let me find you. Penny, thank you for coming back today to tell us all about the updates of Meghan Walsh and the case where her 5-day-old baby was taken about 10 days ago from her house. She had birthed the baby in the bathtub, as I understood, had an at-home delivery, very safe, beautiful little girl who, in about a 45-minute video that was recorded by, was it TCI podcast, Penny? TGI Now podcast did a great job of documenting when the Child Protective Services from Indian River County came to her house to take her 5-day-old baby girl named Esther Grace. Esther Grace is not just a baby. She deserves a name, so we are going to call her Esther Grace moving forward. So Esther Grace has been taken from her mother the entire time that Child Protective Services was there. I don't even want to call them Child Protective Services. We should call them Child Napping Services. Was at her home. The baby was comfortable. She was being held by her mother. She wasn't crying. She was not hungry. She wasn't starving. This was not a situation where the baby was not being cared for. She was clean. She had on beautiful clothes. Her hair was brushed. I mean, she looked like a little doll baby. And at the same time, there were sheriffs, many of them, stalking outside of Meghan's home. And for those of you who are unaware of who Meghan Walsh is, her father is John Walsh from the show America's Most Wanted. So the real question here is what America wants. Is this what you want? You want Child Protective Services to be able to come in and grab your child because you didn't birth it in a hospital, that, you know, the child was being taken care of. They spent over 24 hours trying to get a warrant to warrant going in and getting this child and making it property of the state instead of it being at home with her mother. So Penny, welcome back to Patriots Perspective, and thank you so much to Jeff at Right On Radio for publishing this video as well. Penny, can you tell us about what's going on with Meghan and give us a little bit of an update and some backstory?
Yes. I'm not sure if I have this date right, which I put in here. I was just looking at it right now. It was days after that they had this encounter with DCF that took baby Esther Grace, that two individuals were arrested. The charges were for interference with child custody. These individuals have been protecting Meghan and have been disclosing injustices perpetrated against Meghan by John Walsh, by the sheriffs, and by CPS. She's been systematically gang stalked since they decided to take her children on fraudulent charges in April. I believe it was April 1st of 2020. And then I came into Meghan's life June 13th of 2020. So it's been a year now. Or, I'm sorry, 2021. So it's been a year now that she and I have been in contact with one another and working with one another. And I mentioned to her, that's, did you realize that you called me and on the date that NECMEC began, that took place, which was June 13th, 1983. So that's when she contacted me. And then
NECMEC is, okay, can you fill us in on what NECMEC is, Penny?
NECMEC is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So it was established legally. Its date is June 13th, 1983.
And that's after John Walsh's son, Adam Walsh, went missing.
Yes.
From the Sears store where Reve Walsh was shopping, and the case really went somewhat unsolved. And there are many that believe that there was a patsy, an FBI patsy. That means a person who was blamed for the crime that really did not commit the crime, but we don't really know. I mean, we're just saying that there are people out there that are saying that the person that was supposedly killed Adam was a patsy, and that Adam either could still possibly be alive. There's some people that are saying that. There's a gentleman saying that he maybe is Adam Walsh. We don't really know. In terms of Meghan, that is the concern that you have. You have been researching, you have been investigating, and you have been digging really, really deep, Penny. And I know that you're in conversation with Meghan. And, what I'm watching is a lot of other podcasters and interviewers who, it's shocking to me when I see them and they're asking, to have Meghan on the show, on their shows, when the reality is there's plenty of interviews out there with Meghan, and you have done a ton of research regarding Meghan. And the reality is she is fighting for herself in her own case because her father has publicly campaigned for the sheriff Flowers, right? Is his last name Flowers, Penny? Do I have that correct? Yes. Sheriff Flowers at Indian River Courthouse. Outside Indian River Courthouse, there is the Masonic sign saying that courthouse was built by the Masons, okay, which we know that all of these Masonic places are in this together. When they say they're all in it together, they're all in it together, and they have built this together, and they're not even hiding it. They're letting people know it. And there's people like Meghan who, when she began asking her father questions about her brother's death, which she didn't begin even asking until much later in life, until around like 2019, correct? 2000.
I'm sure she had questions in her entire life, but
yeah, but she got the courage up to ask the questions, I think, from her past interviews. So I highly recommend that you follow Penny's work. Penny is doing a great job of researching Meghan's story, and in conversation with Meghan, helping her gather facts and documents for court cases and things that she's having to file herself because she can't even get an attorney to represent her. Because
she actually has a legal team that are mothers that have experienced some of this, and so they're everyone has to learn how to be a lawyer when you're unrepresented in DCF cases, which are extremely severe. And these are mothers that have had their children taken from them by corrupt CPS. And so I'm not on the legal team aspect of it because I have too many other obligations, and that's not actually my forte, even though I did work within a legal framework as a technologist and a legal word processor. I had my own company. I was also executive secretary for many huge law firms. I was also for international law firms. I worked at one point for Luce Forward Hamilton and Scripps, that's been in existence for, I think, maybe now 175 years. I think they merged with Pillsbury. I worked in the word processing center, and then I worked in the international business department, typing up and formatting litigation. I was also a notary. So I was enmeshed in the legal arena. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been around high profile international lawyers for a myriad of specialties. I've worked across the United States. in some of these very large firms. I worked for Morrison and Forrester at one time, for just virtually all of the firms that, when I was working for Luce Ford Hamilton Scripps, I worked for them. I also worked for medical firms. I worked for scientific firms that required, passwords just to get into the building. So I've worked for, I've done many, many things in my life, along with being a singer, an entertainer, and a writer. I ran my own bands. I also had agents and managers, but I was in cover bands. And now I understand I was in cover bands because I was actually an undercover agent, unbeknownst to myself. I didn't even realize that I was an asset for the deep state until I left my husband in March of 2016 and started researching and investigating. And then some memories started coming back.
And then and how did you connect with Meghan, and how did you begin like researching for her?
So I had already been researching for 5 years since I left in March of 2016. I started researching copiously, finding out some things about my family, about who they actually really were, that I had not any prior knowledge as to who my actual real family was. And then a friend had connected with Meghan and stayed with Meghan for a little bit, and she told Meghan about me. And then on June 13th, 2021, she contacted me because she realized that, I maybe had some things to tell her, because her friend said, yes, she's been researching John for quite some time. I wrote a peripheral, peripheral like tweets and things saying that I believe that John had actually sacrificed his son. And now I took it to the extreme, in which I've done over 30 shows involving John, and we've talked to writers, authors, Willis Morgan, who wrote a book saying that it was Dahmer. We've talked to people that say that, some people that say that I am Adam Walsh. We've talked to people that say that they saw Adam Walsh get killed. And so I'm still talking to people that have information to come forward with that. I talked to one gentleman the other day who he said he'd be willing to actually write me a declaration and have it notarized that he was there playing with Adam the day that he was taken. But he didn't know anything about it because he never watched TV, and he was 6 years old. And so years later, this is what we're finding, is years later, people are recovering memories. Years later, they see a picture in the paper and like, I know that person. So this is what we're experiencing. I literally believe that we are in Revelations, and Revelations would mean to me, if you take it in the biblical context, but you also take it in the reality context of what's occurring in our nation today, good versus evil. Revelations, some people would say it's lifting the veil, but in fact, I believe that things that were previously unrevealed to us are now being revealed, and we're seeing that. Right. If you want to call it a great revival or whatever, we're seeing that. So I think that the prayers and everything that every person believes in God and Jesus, that they've made these prayers to please reveal myself to me, please reveal my government to me, please reveal these things, that these are actually, prayers are everything. Prayers are more than gold. Prayers are your conversations with God. And when you ask, it says knock and the door will be opened. So you have to ask God, reveal myself to me. And it'll be amazed what's happening. So with all the people that are praying and asking for these evil to end, and to have the evil, have the light shine on the evil, I think that's what we're experiencing. So I'm going to say Revelations.
Yep, I agree with you. And Meghan is a Bible scholar as well, correct, Penny?
I'm not sure what her actual scholarship is in that arena, but I know that she has studied many different religions, and she believes in Jesus Christ. And
a religious scholar, I think she's like, yes, she does believe in Jesus Christ, and she knows.
And she's studied many things. She's not your average bear. People look at her and they assume that she's like a spoiled child. She was not. She referred to her childhood as being brought up in the shining house, where her mother was drunk and falling out of chairs, and her dad was a pill popper and a sex addict, and everything was to her they were running psyops on her because they were living double and triple lives within the continuity of her life. And so she turned down Hollywood. One of her babies is with Warren Trotter, who is Kanye West's best friend. And I won't elaborate further on that, but you can see the implications, the satanic implications. They wanted her to be friends with Kim Kardashian. She refused. You're talking about an individual that has integrity, and they're trying to diminish everything that she is by alluding that she's crazy. When people are calling the sheriff's office, they're literally telling people that she's mentally ill. And as I mentioned on a prior podcast, there was another individual named Tammy Gilley who, when her son went missing and was found murdered, and she was, pursuant to this, the sheriffs were telling people that she was mentally ill. So I think she finally got an apology from that sheriff. But that's what they do. These are psyops, and that what they're doing is they're trying to reduce your credibility so that when you go into a court of law and you try to file against them, that they've already said that you're crazy, and they're initiating that, and then within the court system. And we already know the court system, how corrupt it is. I'm on a Dave show. I'm going to be talking about a former judge for child services that was found with child pornography. And that's what we're talking about. And this isn't just an isolated incident. I think this one was in like 2018 or 17. But what I'm saying is, when they used to say a person gets caught for drunk driving, right? He drunk drove maybe 200 times before that. Okay. So we're talking about the protected people that have the judgeships, that are working hand in hand with the people like John Walsh. John Walsh had said, and I played in on a previous interview, John Walsh promoted Sheriff Flowers, and he was his very good friend, but he talked about that he's been all over this world, and he's worked with Scotland Yard. He's basically worked with MI6. I think he's worked with CIA. I know he's worked with FBI. I know he's worked with DEA. He's worked with Mossad, and he said, I believe, Scotland Yard as well. So you're talking about an individual who also knows the Queen, by the way. So his tentacles extend very far. And National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, in the international version, it was started by Ernie Allen and Eve Branson, the mother of Rick Branson. Rick Branson has Necker Island, and he also had the Nexium stars there, Claire Bronfman's, who owned Universal Studios, and they were the heir to Seagram's fortune. And then Allison Mack, who was the star of Smallville, and that was the Keith Raniere next to him. That's just one of about 1 billion cults.
Yep. And the swamp is deep and wide, and when they're friends, in the Sheriff Flowers campaign promotion, John Walsh, I think Sheriff Flowers maybe says 5 words where John says maybe 150 words in this campaign video. And she's right, John is telling all about it. It's almost shocking when you watch that video. Maybe we'll have to post a link below to Penny.
I still wondered why they use the chickens.
Yeah, it's kind of because, you know why? Because I think it's a yes. Because people are chicken, they're
be chicken, or we're the cock of the block. It has some implications,
Yeah, it has to, because they're just like walking through this farm, and when they're walking through the farm, their chickens like running everywhere. Did you notice the chickens aren't just happy chickens either? They're like running everywhere. Chickens don't typically do that. They're just like pecking, right? Like
everyone wants to do that advertisement.
And if you think about it. From a production standpoint, you would have had to make those chickens run like that, okay? Because they didn't get that video on the first take, I promise you, okay? So think about it. The chickens, if they'd done that multiple times, the chickens would have dispersed and they would have gone elsewhere. This is where we have to stop the psyops and think about things, okay?
Like when John was talking about the Petito case, and he came forth about the laundries, they were both from Long Island, by the way. He uses the phraseology "dirty laundries," and then of course that brings up the Don Henley song "Dirty Laundries," which I think that was actually used in Miami Vice.
That's very interesting. So Penny, I want to make sure that we get to the point of exactly what's occurring with Meghan right now, and what she's in need of. You know, she's definitely in need of prayer. Meghan has made sure that we know to please pray. She's like, pray, because, you know, she is the forefront of this. You know, we're all thinking that Epstein, you know, was the forefront of something. I think we could be at the forefront of something much, much bigger, because we know that over 800,000 children go missing in the United States every year. Some departments are saying 450,000. I've heard 800,000. I don't know if those are combined numbers or if they are, you know, from different agencies, but from border control, it's up to 800,000, right at 800,000 children go missing every year. I want everybody to think about something logically. There's this Amber Alert, right? How many times does your Amber Alert go off in your area? Maybe, okay, we're in Miami, maybe twice a year, maybe twice a year it goes off. So is every missing child really on Amber Alert? I don't think so. Okay. Because when they steal the children themselves, I don't think there's alerts going out for those children. I think there's only alerts going out when there are children maybe that they aren't stealing. So I think that could be a trigger. I don't have the statistics on that. That is just a conspiracy theory that we can all research and chase down. However, there are many facts that Penny is going to present here today. And I just want to ask everybody to please pray for Esther Grace and for Meghan and for the entire team, because they are working pro se. And I'm also working on some other things that could prevent this forever. That, like, I've gotten like a revelation at 2:00 this morning to watch a certain something that someone sent me. And literally, I cannot even put it down. Penny, I don't even want to go into it until I do more research on it, because it is that shocking that it could have stopped this whole thing with Meghan, and because they prey on us. I mean, they really prey on us just going to work, or, you know, Meghan wanted to be a fashion designer, or just, you know, going about life. And they prey on the fact that we are not going to take our sovereign rights back. And we actually have to do that because of the birth certificate that we are born with. Because I couldn't figure out why in the world they were so adamant about taking a 5-day-old baby away from its mom, and why they were so concerned about the baby not being born in the hospital. Well, that's because they can't make a birth certificate if the baby's not born in the hospital. And we all know what's happened in the past year. So there's a lot of research I'm doing on that. If anybody wants to join me in it, please do. I think we're going to create another Telegram channel specifically for that, you know, for your birthright, to know, you know, more about the birthright. And then, Penny, we said we were going to also create a channel if people wanted to help research on Adam Walsh or any spottings or anything like that, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do that on Telegram. I'm going to put the links below in the description, or you can go to Patriots Perspective or Right on Radio channels to see where those the new channels are. And if you have, and we want to keep it very strict about, you know, Adam Walsh's channel, just about Adam Walsh, and on the Birthright channel, just about birthright stories. Okay, because we need to keep this very strict, because there is a way, and I believe there's actually a really easy way, but they want us to think that it's really hard, and it's actually really easy, because the reality is it doesn't involve using attorneys, because an attorney is not going to help you anyway if you're in a big case like Meghan's in. I mean, that was what's really shocking. But I've got a gentleman who's teaching us exactly what we need to do, and it's all free. So it's nothing that anybody, they're not going to, it's going to cost you to get your sovereign rights back. But in the end, it's going to pay off at the same time, because we just have to learn how to do it. I don't know how to do it myself yet. But I definitely, this is coming from someone on the inside with President Trump, love him or hate him. It's a message that is getting out, and we're going to help get that message out, because if we had really known about this prior to Meghan's children being taken, the guy guarantees that they can't even take the children because you're taking them back from the government. Because the minute we are issued a birth certificate, that is when we are giving away our sovereign rights to the government. And I believe that's the reason they really wanted that baby so badly, because, I just couldn't figure out why. Common sense tells us that the baby was happy. It's not wet. It's not sitting in a pile of poop. It's being fed, because the baby for 45 minutes didn't cry while, there was a lot going on around it. So that tells you that it's very peaceful. But what do they want to do? They want to vaccinate, and they want to get the child a birth certificate. I believe it's the birth certificate. Supposedly, we're worth about $3.3 million upon that birth certificate being issued. And the Child Protective Services now can own that baby and that birth certificate. So that, Penny, I mean, I'm still like in shock over the information, and like I said, that is something I have to finish researching and to present to the public. And if I present it, like, we have to make sure that we all get out and do it, because what's so strange to me is it's a revelation that combines almost everything I've ever known, Penny, like branding, marketing, trademarking, and filing your own USTPO for yourself to get your sovereign rights back, because they can't legally take them, but you have to get them back. It's no different than us believing in the Bible and not having faith to think that Jesus spoke and said, we will do greater things than him. And then sit here and go, we're not going to. We actually are. And you know what? People like Meghan, who are standing up to her parents. She's lost everything, her children, her home, her parents. I mean, she still loves her parents, guys. I mean, she literally loves her parents, and just started asking questions about her brother that they didn't want to answer. And then they started calling her crazy just for asking the questions. She says in an interview she never expected this outcome. Never expected it. Right, Penny? Like, yeah. I mean,
I have some videos of her actually speaking. You're going to need to bring my presentation.
Okay, I'm sorry, hon. Okay, hold on. I forget, Jeff, we're missing you.
Okay, so can you see it on there?
Yes, we can now.
So what happened, and I think this date might be wrong, June 11th, but I'm not sure. It was last Saturday. So 2 individuals were arrested by Indian River County Sheriffs. The charges were for interference with child custody. These individuals have been protecting Meghan and have been disclosing injustices perpetrated against Meghan by John Walsh, by the sheriffs, and by CPS or DCF. Carolyn K. is a widow, mother of 4, who's been housing Meghan Walsh. She was arrested for interference with child custody. She is an advocate for Meghan. Don Carapi of TGI Now podcast is an advocate for Meghan. He's attended hearings with Meghan and had featured her in several of his podcasts. Don has been a resident of Vero for many years, and I asked him, he said he's been there since 1986, and he worked for the Chamber of Commerce. And he also worked for Salvation Army, and he has something to say about that as well. See if I can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is very long. It's an interview with John Carapi, but I'm just going to play a little section of it. It's 1 hour and 24 minutes. So at 15:54, I'm going to pick up on this if I can start it. I have a little trouble here with. Oh shoot! Go back. I'm trying to do this without the benefit of.
Oh yeah, because you're doing it full screen.
It's not actually full screen. It's the way that I did it before is I could fast forward into a section. So let me just see. It's not letting me click on it. Here we go. All right, so let me fast forward this to 15:54, and this is where he's talking about what happened. Hold on a second. Where is it? Keeps disappearing. Damn it.
Technology is your friend, Penny.
know that, but I'm doing it in reading view so that the screen is larger, but it's not, when I'm clicking on it, it's taking me to the next slide. Here we go. And when I get to the 1554, it's not letting me just click and play it. So hold on a sec. There we go.
That happens. But I have connections with everything that's happened. When I worked for Salvation Army, John Walsh came to the Salvation Army event. He was our guest speaker. He came and I met him then. And then he used a phone that was not his phone. It was a burner phone that he used. There are certain things that I started to pick up on, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, something ain't right here. Why is this guy so worried about his identity and not people not knowing who he is and what his number is? I'm like, he shouldn't have anything to hide. But again, this was 10 years ago. So I'm still asleep. I'm still in the matrix. I'm still discerning, wiggling my way through, navigating the dream of the planet, navigating the collective dream. And then I started to realize, like, wait a minute, this isn't right. Like he's not doing what he says he does. But again, there's not me to question that because my mother used to say, when kids are abused in their homes, nobody came out of that house sane. And the bottom line is that people make comments about her, and they say that she's crazy and that she has mental illness and all that. And I say, well, would anybody come out of that house saying if the things that really went on in that house that we don't even know about, that only she knows about, would be saying,
right.
then those people wouldn't be saying that stuff. And that's what bothers me the most. It's like, yeah, people have a past. I have a past. Everybody has a past, but
That's
you
right.
can't hold the past.
Okay, so he's basically, he was talking about the allegations of Meghan, not being seen as insane, but in reality, the way that he put it wasn't actually the best light. Where he's saying, could anybody have come out of that environment sane? Well, in fact, she did come out very sane, very salient, very, very educated, very capable of speaking for herself, and she's an amazing individual. So for them to accuse her of being mentally unstable, again, that's a psyop which they're perpetrating.
Mhm.
And this is Meghan fighting for the custody of her 3 children who were taken by John Walsh fraudulently, and she's now actively engaged in another battle to gain custody of her 5-day-old child who was taken June 5th.
Hi, Meghan. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm okay. So tell me what's going on today. What's up?
Well, today's Sunday, God bless, and we're just waiting to see what happens because Carolyn and John were both arrested over the weekend, and each had to spend the night in jail.
Now explain. Now tell everybody here, who is Carolyn and John? Who are they? They've been following your case, correct? Broadcasting,
yeah,
your injustice and everything that's going on with your child custody case, right?
Yeah, they've been supporting. John Crappie does the TGI Now podcast, and Carolyn, has been helping me and supporting me and giving me a place to stay, and is a wonderful Christian mother. She's a 59-year-old widow and mother of 4. John has his own children, and he's spoken out in the community for the good of the people. He's been a part of the community, and was, part of the commission and different, things within our community that he then left after, what he was experiencing and seeing, years ago. And so, yeah, and they were both there the day of the removal of the video that everyone saw. It started only about 10 minutes into the whole ordeal. Carolyn talked to the police and did everything right. And, I was saying, please, I'm fighting for my baby, and they're taking my baby. The sad part is that they were supposed to come on Wednesday and do a home study before the Friday they took her, and they would have been able to calmly see the baby, see the home. We're supposed to be working towards getting the kids back, and this is like what they do in CPS. They keep adding to the case or coming up with things, and it's really sad to see how they twist things. It's terrifying, actually, to see how these people twist narratives and situations. But also to that, they've known for months that I was pregnant. They've had me come into court physically just so they could keep an eye on it. And they could have really talked to me beforehand as caring people and said, you know, we know you're pregnant. We have your other 3. So unfortunately, we're going to have to take her into custody. Let's make this as peaceful as possible, you know, and this is what you're going to have to do. And they could have talked to us and told us what was going to happen. They did not have to do. This is so literally insane. Like, if it sounds crazy to someone, it's because it is. This is literally crazy making.
So June 3rd, they came to your house to take your daughter away, correct? That was last Friday, right?
Yeah,
And
last Friday.
Now the people that were at the house with you, John and Carolyn, have now been arrested.
Yes, and there's a 3rd warrant that we don't know if it's for Eddie or me.
And what type of charges are these? Like, what were they arrested for?
1st degree felony for second or 3rd degree felony, for hindering the removal of a child.
So we all saw the viral video, right? The video of them removing your child at your house. And I saw John there, and John was documenting. I didn't see anything about hindering or obstruction or refusal to allow them to come in, nothing, correct?
Right. We did not hinder. I called my attorney. I asked them not to take my child for a few minutes at the window.
Which
I said my
mother
right.
would do. Every mother would do.
Yes. Yes. And I'm at my home. I had just had a baby. I don't have makeup on sitting waiting for a TV crew and this whole thing to happen. You know, it's really inhumane what the level that we're at here.
And you said there's a 3rd warrant out. Do you feel like there's a warrant out for your arrest, possibly?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they took our 3 IDs and said that they were starting a criminal investigation on the video. Everyone saw that, saying that, again, we were hindering or using police resources. Again, none of that was necessary. None of that was necessary. And for people to be on that level, to think that it was, and to make these narratives is really scary. And everyone should be concerned. I hate to say it.
So Carolyn was arrested at your house yesterday or 2 days ago, Friday night, right?
Yes, they came to the door and said, "Hi, we're sorry. You know, I'm sorry. It was raining. I hit your car by accident." And of course, she went out the door to go look at the car with the person, and they took her around the side of the house and arrested her.
Wow, they did the bait someone to come out, the gaslighting someone to come out of the house to set them up and to arrest them. Unbelievable. I seen Carolyn and John do nothing but help you and document you, and seeing Carolyn at the courthouse supporting you. You know, it seems like not only are they now coming after you, but now they're coming after your supporters, the ones that are sharing what's going on in your county against you.
Sadly, it seems so, Jonathan, and I'm sick of being the bad guy of having to say that, you know, and be called crazy and all this. These people are law enforcement and DCF. They're saying that they're supposed to be working for the people. They're taking oaths. They're collecting salaries. And this is not a fight. I am done with this fighting word, this whole energy, because you know what? We are standing up for what is right to truly protect children, and we're speaking truth. And they're supposed to be listening, and they're supposed to be on our side. That should be a very good thing. That should be, yes, there are issues, and that's why we go into these positions to address these issues and make sure they don't happen. And instead, they are the ones that make this a fight, this fight word and energy. It's not okay.
So I'm done with for anyone, like, what happens if you get arrested? Do you have money to get out on bond? I mean, how can people support you that are following your case?
I have the Give Send Go / Meghan Walsh, MEGHANWALSH. But we are, trying to handle it on our own. But we do need help. I've lost my children and my entire life for the truth, and for our children in this country. And people just really need to start researching and looking into the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of parents across this country that are also going through this, and even more children. So,
do you believe that they could possibly trump up charges on you and then use these charges in this incident as justification to continue to take your children away from you?
Well, I don't, I no longer make contracts with the devil. So I, to put it lightly, I guess, in that way. So, you know what, I'm hoping that people start standing up, and I'm not really going there, to be honest. We all need to, start being careful what we say with our tongues and judging people and, allowing systems feeling that we don't have any power and, oh, what are we going to do? We just have to speak up and come together.
Okay, so that's basically what Meghan is saying. That we all need to do our part, and we need to fix this justice system. It needs to be fixed. It's broken. When you have people that are stealing your children, that needs to be fixed.
Well, I'm just going to say this, Penny. They can't come after all of us, okay? I mean, her viral video had, the last time I looked, and it's been actually within about a 3-day period, it had well over 750,000 views on Facebook alone, okay? So this is a video that's got millions of views by now, and that's just on one platform, one video on one platform. Of course, we've all downloaded it. We've all shared it that way. People are giving money. They're not, of course, it's taking a lot because, that when you're having to bail people out that are documenting for you, such as John was doing. And of course, they have it out for John, right? Because wasn't John the one to speak up about masks in Indian River and just humane things, like not against, just like people's freedoms in general, back in the 2020. I don't want to go there with words because we'll all know we won't even be able to put this on Facebook if it even makes Facebook or Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube.
Yeah, I'll take this out just to give you guys a quick update on John.
Go on. I'm sorry,
but that's okay. But when it comes to what they're trying to do, let's not let it happen. So that's the big thing, is we've all been psyopsed by John Walsh. And I mean, for heaven's sake, I've said 1,000 times, I mean, I wasn't able to ride my bike in the same places because my parents were afraid I was going to go missing because Adam Walsh went missing. I had to stay by my parents. I used to be allowed to, when I was younger.
Give you guys a quick update on John.
It's just automatically plays. Sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay. So when kids everywhere, their lives changed because of Adam Walsh. And was it a setup? We don't know. We've talked about that in other videos. So go back and watch other videos that we've created with Penny. But there's a lot that we have to ask ourselves as to why these they've done what they've done. We know this is the great revelation, the great awakening, that people are waking up to what has happened in the mass psychosis. If you have not watched our video about who is Penny Shepard, I highly encourage you guys to do that because that is super helpful. Penny, I want you to play the video from John for sure to help give.
She basically said what we needed to hear.
Okay.
And the video from this was just Eddie talking about John being arrested and how shocked he was. He was outside of the courthouse trying to get bail for him.
Because they had no bail set for him, right? Like no bail set for him.
No bond. So Carolyn, as I understand it, did not spend the night in jail. And I have the dates wrong on there. I said June 5th. It was actually June 3rd. So I have to fix that in the presentation. But she was taken, and you see how scurrilous in the manner that she was taken. They lied to her to get her outside. They lied. So what is the sheriff's department about? Were they there under false pretenses when they say to her that that the judge wrote this order because your daughter has not seen a doctor? And she says, yes, my daughter has seen a doctor. She has a clean bill of health. This order is written incorrectly. Let me prove to you I have the documentation. You don't need to take my child. And at one point, he's talking to her federally protected agent on the phone, and then he hangs up on the agent. She says, look, I'm protected. And he says, well, I don't care if you're protected throughout the universe. I'm not leaving here without this kid, basically is what he says. And so they achieved taking the child under fraudulent causes, which that child would have never been even within the system to take the child had not John started the charges against her, which the charges against her were fraudulent charges. It goes back to even like in around Thanksgiving time of that year, before it was Thanksgiving, and then in April of the following year is when the children start getting taken, because she goes and she brings her children to Thanksgiving, and things are getting out of hand with her mother, and so she just says, "I'm out of here." And then the mother attacks her, pulls her hair. She's got the baby, holding the baby. She attacks her, pulls her hair, and then bites her. And so Meghan says, "I'm done with this. This is, you're not seeing your children, your grandchildren any longer." And that's when it starts. It had already been building up to this pressure point where Meghan was doing more and more research. And then after that, they said, "All right, fine. Now we're going to start a campaign to destroy you." Mm-hmm. And she had also created a position for herself. She was going to be employed within his agency, right? And they had some things that were where they call it his farm, where he has many residences. One is in Skinny Atlas, which is basically a mansion in Skinny Atlas. And so she had created a position for herself at NCMEC, and then National Center for Missing and Exploited. And then that position, actually, the position that she created, it went to her brother, because she says that her father has basically been very nepotistic, and he wants to make sure that his sons are covered, but not his daughter. His daughter is, yet you see him in public using his daughter, just like he used the story of his son being taken, using his daughter, saying how much he loves his daughter. If this is a man who truly loves his daughter, let's just say that she was a murderer and a psychopath and a criminal. And if he truly loved her, he would be helping her. Mm-hmm. But right. She's not any of those things. She is a decent, loving, warm human being, and an awesome mother, a creative individual who is an intuitive healer, who had her own record out. She's a recording artist. She had her own clothing line. She's very well educated. She's an art major. I mean, she's a very prolifically intelligent individual, but they're depicting her as they're assassinating her character. So that's the psyop that is propagated strictly from the CIA playbook, in which the first thing they do is they alienate you from your friends and family, so the family's not talking to her anymore because Meghan's a bad person, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're creating this illusion that this individual, who's a sterling individual, is a person of bad character. And then they build upon that. And because John Walsh is seen as a person of good character, and that's a facade, he's a person that has been, his close associates are sex traffickers, sex trafficking presidents, drug trafficking presidents, CIA heads, DIA heads, FBI heads, satanic lying factions within the sheriffs and the police departments. And again, I'm not saying that everyone that joins the forces is bad, but the ones that are at the head, they're compromised in some capacity. They're given oaths not just to serve the people, but they've given oaths to serve the New World Order and their Illuminati friends and their mob friends. The Hollywood PD, we had discussed this earlier during the days of the Cocaine Cowboys. It was one of the men who was a cocaine cowboy had spoken on record about how they bought out Miami PD. And Joe Matthews was a Miami PD homicide. They said, "We bought out Miami homicide detectives." Joe Matthews retires that year in 1996. So was he compromised? I'm going to say yes, because he also knew the head, Ben Novak, who owned the Fontainebleau Hotel. And at the Fontainebleau Hotel, we had Sam Giancana. We had JFK down there with Edith Campbell Exner, who was one of his mistresses, who was also a mistress of Sam Giancana. I did a whole series on Florida and on the mob working with the government in Operation Underworld. And that also, they facilitated the infiltration with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and they were set to assassinate Castro. And it was Sidney Gottlieb that was in charge under Alan Dulles, who was head of the CIA under JFK. Sidney Gottlieb was doing the biowarfare aspect of this, in which he was going to come up with some kind of a biological weapon to whack Castro. So, we're talking about John's allies are these people like Reagan, who's associated with Reagan and Bush Sr., who are Iran-Contra, smuggling in drugs into the country to trade for weaponry and to build an illegal war, an army. They're drug trafficking within the United States. They're also connected with the Finders, a sex trafficking cult, and the Franklin scandal, in which paper boys were utilized. Not just paper boys, but boys were taken to the White House. And these are not, idle things, in which in some instances the media has tried to quash this and then make it sound like it's a conspiracy theory. It's not. These things actually happen. So
yes, they do.
I just want to bring forth that this is not a normal CBS, CBS case, and that Meghan Walsh, in my estimation, is a hero, and she's not just fighting for her children, ladies and gentlemen. She's fighting for your children, to make sure that this world is a safe world for your children, because CPS has it's selling children, putting them in foster care, and it's basically baby brokering, sex trafficking, transnational, and not just CPS. It goes under many different names, but they're taking these children out of the country as well. And what's happening to the disappeared children, which you'll never find out who they are, because they've changed their names and then they've murdered them, and they've done satanic sacrifices, and they've eaten these children or drank their blood to satisfy their God, who is Satan.
Yeah, and I think it's very difficult to even imagine, Penny. I mean, like, I think it's so difficult for people to imagine that these things really do happen, that it's happened right beneath our noses. And, it's like, what are we going to do about it? Well, the first thing that we can do is call Governor Ron DeSantis. As we well know from our government structure, there has to be something that he can do. He can involve the Florida Bureau of Investigation. We can also call Ashley Moody's office and demand an investigation. We should not sit back silent about this. The other thing we can do is email Ron DeSantis, and I put the number on the screen for those of you listening. The number is 850-717-9337. Again, 850-717-9337. If you do not have a pen and paper, please grab one, and I'll repeat the number again a couple more times before we sign off, because we definitely need to make sure we make it easy for everyone to call. I will also put the number in the description box below. I'll put the number of the email addresses to make it easy for everyone to call, because we definitely need to call Ron DeSantis and ask him why the Florida Bureau of Investigation is not already on top of this, because we taxpayers of Florida are spending money to keep children in CPS that could be at home with their loving parents. And there needs to be an investigation into CPS. There needs to be an investigation into the Sheriff's Department of Indian River County, considering the same county officials that John Walsh is promoting in a campaign video, who is doing most of the speaking, telling, as Penny said earlier, about the FBI, CIA, MI6. I mean, I don't even know how many. He listed probably 5 agencies that they were working for. And he says in the video, he's one of us. He says it. He's one of us in the video. Like, this is no secret, guys. This is like absolutely insane that would even happen. And we have to stand up. And if Meghan can risk losing everything, the least we can do is make a phone call, say a prayer. If you can give $5 just to even show your support, give $1 just to let her know that you're there, you're praying for her, or just write a message on the Give, Send, Go, so that she knows that you are, at least calling. Send her a tweet, post a comment on the video. Penny will make sure that she gets to see this video as well, that she just knows that we're here, we're supporting her. That's the reason we wanted to come on and do this video. And Penny, I will go on with you and update people as you see fit. So, you've got my number. All you have to do is call me whenever you have new research that you want to get out. I'll definitely help you do that. Because like I said, I mean, we have to think, everybody, we have to think very logically. I just want everybody to think logically on something. How long did it take for John Walsh to immediately be connected to presidents and to start this foundation? Okay. How many other children went missing before Adam Walsh went missing? And so how did this happen so quickly? So we just have to think very logically. Okay. There are 800,000 children that go missing every year. And, I don't want to bring another child's case into it, but I just can't get her off of my mind. What is her name? The Madison case, in the UK, that case where
Are you talking about Tammy Reef?
No, not Tammy Reef. She didn't get any notoriety and publicity. No. Remember? Okay, so there's no publicity for that. Okay, so this is where we have to think very logically.
That's where the legit sex traffic don't get lawyers. They don't get publicity. They get disavowed by the United States government. They never heard of these projects. What is Project Genesis? That's just a bunch of, hokey and baloney. These are ultra top secret projects which may never be revealed, the parameters of which are somewhere in some deep underground military base in a locked vault that will never, 100 floors down, that will never be availed of, along with Hitler's bunker of porno and the deep state, in which they've taken, in my instance, they took videos of me in hotel rooms where I thought I was with, my boyfriend or, my husband, and they took videos of me, and then those were sold on the dark web. I've never seen them, but I know they exist.
Yeah, and so it's Madeline McCann that went missing in Portugal, and
yes.
there's kind of a system here that I want everybody to pay attention to. That a firstborn that has gone missing. We know that in satanic rituals they want a firstborn. You have to sacrifice your firstborn to Baal or whatever they call their god. And these people, they're not right, everyone. I mean, I'm just saying they're not normal. This is not a normal thing. Okay. I mean, I don't know what happened to Madeline McCann, but there are sketches of what looks like the Podesta brothers. There's sketches of what looks like Ghislaine Maxwell. Then you have on top of that, guess whose jet took them to Portugal every time they needed to go that no one's paying attention to? Hello, the royal family. Can you even make this stuff up?
There's also a Freud that is involved with this, as in one of the grandsons of Sigmund Freud, who was a father of psychoanalysis, who was a cocaine addict and a pedophile. And then his other grandsons, I believe, own Netflix.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They've gotten more money than they knew what to do with. Okay, so when I go to Meghan's page, I want to say we went to it earlier. $17,000 is what's raised on her Give, Send, Go. Okay,
yeah, most of that's been spent already, because she's been collecting for years. So she's had expenses in which she's had to pay for storage expenses. She has to pay for food. I don't know if she's paying for the lodging where she's at. But, she has expenses. She has to live. And so a great deal of that was collected prior to this. So maybe she had 2,000 that she's gotten so far, in addition to what she's already had.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to get everybody to compare, though, Penny, logically. We have to start thinking very logically. Millions of dollars have been raised for Madeline McCann, who has a doctor, for a mom, and I think the other one's an attorney. Anyway, they're very affluential in Great Britain, right? Millions of dollars have been raised for those parents. But how many have been raised for Tammy, Megan, like average everyday people. I mean, and believe it or not, there's a lot of veterans that have their children taken from them. There's one family out there that I think they've had 5 children taken from them because the dad saw how corrupt like the school system was and pulled them out. So guess what they did? Of course, he's been to war. He's got PTSD. They say that he's crazy. They take the kids away at the ripe age of their daughters, like being teenagers. Perfect age for trafficking. Okay. So you can't even make this stuff up, everybody. And I'm sorry, this is like desolate news, I know, but this is like something we really have to pay attention to, and we can stop it. Okay. You can stop it. Number one, you can stop watching America's Most Wanted. I know he's not on there anymore, but he did start it, and I'm sure that he gets some type of licensing fees from it. Number two, you can call Ron DeSantis' office, and we can just call every single day. Like, don't stop. Like, make it a point to just call. Hey, I'm just checking on what's happening with this Meghan Walsh case. Record your calls if you can. Let's start posting our calls to show that we're actually calling, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop until Meghan has her children back.
I think we may be out of time.
Yeah, well, we're out of time. We're going to be out of time anyway. I'm going to have to upgrade, Penny. Listen, I'm going to have to upgrade, everybody, because if we go over an hour, I have to upgrade to Pro on StreamYard. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. Every interview is going to go over an hour, and we're just going to have to deal with it. But Penny, is there anything else that you want to say? I know that you're working on a lot of the research and things, and even we discovered today that you're working on a computer fund because you need another computer to continue the research. Do you have a way for people to be able to support you?
Yeah, actually, I only need about $300 more for the computer, and then I will reach my goal. But I'm taking Amazon. I'm going to buy it on Amazon. It has a terabyte. It's a 2020 refurbished Mac, and I don't have enough memory on my actual computer, so I then will have 2 computers and 2 laptops, and then there's other things that I need, but that's what I need right now. I'll just figure out the rest of it, and if you want to support that, you can send me an Amazon gift card to my email address, which is shepardentertainment@gmail, and that's SHEPARD entertainment@gmail. And I'm very surprised that I actually received pretty much almost that goal within just several days. And I don't ask for money very often, but I ask for tools that will enable me to do my job so that I can give you the information that you need. I'm not out there on a Patreon. I'm not asking for money on a daily basis. That's just not who I am. I like to do what I do for free, but I am on a fixed income, and so occasionally I will ask for help to buy a new computer or some technology which I require.
Yep. And it does take a lot, for sure. I mean, we were running out of disk space today as we were getting on. Technology issues. Yes. So yes, thank you everybody for taking time.
To contact me and talk about MK Ultra or any research. If you want to help me with research, if you have something that you want to tell me about sex trafficking, your situation, missing memories, targeted individual, text my phone. My phone is 619-779-9771. You can also reach me at that earlier email address, shepardentertainment@gmail. You can see my blog at shepardentertainment.blogspot.com. And then my web, which isn't as updated as my blog, is Shepard with a hyphen, the word entertainment.com. You can find me on Twitter at ShepardOut and Agent X11. And then I'm also on Instagram, IG, Shepard Out and Agent X11. Megan is at Meghan Walsh on Twitter. You can also find her on Facebook. You can message her on Messenger if you need to reach her, or if you want to, just give me a message to give to her. I'd be more than happy to do that as well.
Yep. Right now, the prayers and support she's asked that we pray, and we pray not only for her children, but we pray for all of these children and all of these families So if you're out there and you want to get a message out regarding anything that you've had occur with CPS or DFS, I'm going to start calling them Child Kidnapping Services, CKS, so that way we can avoid some algorithms, because that's what they are. They're basically child kidnapping services, and we have to start calling it as it is. They're not protecting anyone but themselves.
I would also like to say, if you'd like to contact either John or Eddie at TGI, they are located in Vero. So they talk to Meghan, pretty much on a daily basis. And they're on Facebook and TGI Now. Make sure to, follow their podcast, listen to them, because they're going to be giving updates, and I'm getting information from them as well, which I'm putting out in some of my PowerPoints and presentations, in which I do on several different shows.
Well, and there's one other person I want to give a shout out to. Penny, give me just a second. I'm pulling up. I'm running out of disk space. Imagine that. I need to upgrade my computer too, my little 2013, but it's going to keep going. Okay, so there is, I think her name is American Amy. Hold on. You know how I'm talking about, Penny?
Well, yeah. They have also started a petition for Meghan.
Okay. So I want to give a shout out to American Amy on YouTube. American Amy is she is covering Meghan's case at the courthouses. Okay. So the thing is, like, this is, her video intro started to play, but I don't know her at all. She seems very cool. I've conversed with her. I've conversated. We've been chatting. I've conversated for too long here, Penny. My southern twang is really coming out now.
This person who started a petition that you can sign, I think it already has 1,000 signatures, 956 have signed. It's a national outcry for Meghan Walsh, the daughter of NCMEC, which is National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, founders John and Reve Walsh. Her name is Jennifer, Janifer Knighton, Knigton. She signed the petition to petition Governor Ron DeSantis. So please find Jennifer. She's on Facebook, and she's got her phone number out there and everything. She started this petition, and I think her child also is missing. She's got a thing. It says Jennifer Knighton is at the office of the governor, Greg Abbott, the Texas GFPS. Where is my daughter that went missing in your care because of your negligence? How do you give custody back to a parent of a missing child? Where is my child? So this is another outraged parent with the system, with the CPS system. This is happening all over the United States. So again, Meghan Walsh is a person that is not just speaking for her child. She's speaking for all children. And there are many advocates there that are out in the forefront, and they're talking to all of their governors. She just started this. So find Jennifer, Jenifer, Knighton, Knigton. Find her on Facebook and ask her, how can I sign that petition?
Oh, I see it, Penny. I'm actually putting the link here. I'm telling everybody to go to searchchange.org. It's called a national outcry for Meghan Walsh. Because we have to, everybody, this is not a joke. We basically have to, and I'll put the link for the petition in the bottom. I did find it. And it has right now, before we're recording, it has 973 have signed out of 1,000. They were just trying to get 1,000. So, I mean, this is going viral. We're not going to let it stop. This is not going to be something, you know what? They didn't let it stop when Adam Walsh went missing, and they've played it for over 40 years. And guess what? If it takes 40 years, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to be like many others. And you know what? They can't put us all in jail. Sorry. What are they going to do? Are they going to send animal services for my dogs, saying the dogs aren't well cared for? I mean, that's what they can do. They're going to collapse my building. They can do that. Are they going to kill me? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But guess what? The reality is somebody's got to take a stand for what we believe in. Otherwise, we'll fall for anything. So, and we fell for things in the past, and God has opened our eyes to be able to see what's here. And it's very difficult. It's not an easy thing to see. It's definitely not going to be easy when it comes to the church. And we see, that it's not just the Catholic churches that have been molesting children and trafficking children. It's all the churches and a lot of the mega churches. So I just keep saying that because I keep preparing people, because it could be your pastor next. Because, it's funny. I don't even remember who wrote the book out there, Who's Sitting in the Pew Next to You. But you got to think, who is sitting in the pew next to you? Because, those pew warmers, or even the deacons in the church, or the pastor behind the pulpit, they could be very much a part of this, because we know that there is a task force out there taking notes, and they know everything. When they know everything about the elections, they know everything about child trafficking. President Trump has told us over and over that they're watching. And, I do believe, and I pray that he, is standing by his word to keep his enemies close, and that he's going to take them down. And maybe they're going to be all taken down at once. Maybe some of the people we're seeing are truly doubles. Who really knows, Penny?
I'm a baby that's crying.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining, Penny. Thank you very, very much. And everybody, I really thank you for tuning in today. And please do make sure that you do call Governor DeSantis, send an email, do whatever you can. And if you're able to give to Penny or to Meghan, I hope that you will. Let's see if Penny, are you wanting to come back on?
It wasn't actually a baby. It's a baby
dogs.
Baby puppy. So don't, everyone's like, oh my God, it's your baby. No, I'm like 63. I'll be 64. But
no, they'll be trying to take your puppies too.
Out, and I was like, oh my God, because it wasn't stopped crying. So, but Lily's in there nursing. She's taking care of it. It just wanted milk. So
yeah. Oh, that's sweet. So anyway, I was just telling them, Penny, you want to say anything else? Closing words?
I just want to say thank you all for your support. Please research everything. Don't believe anything that I've said. Please research it. I believe that through your research, it will verify my research. And I try not to make, I try very hard to stick in a concrete path, because my life is, I can't justify my life. I don't have any documentation to say what actually happened to me, but I know who I am and I know what happened to me. So I try to help people that actually do have documentation on their lives. And then I also help people that don't have the documentation, because I happen to be one of those individuals. And so I also say, when you're doing research, approach with the aspect that anything that's possible is possible. Your research will get a lot further if you go down that path, rather than slamming your door shut and then expand it a little bit, because I spend the majority of my life being under MK Ultra and being extremely gullible. And these days, after I had an encounter with John D'Souza, who was on Gaia, and he was FBI for 28 years, and I asked him for a referral to the Oregon FBI, because I have a prolific stalker there, and he blocked me. And when I went to respond to him, that's how I found out he blocked me. But he said, Penny, trust no one. And I was like, really? He did not just quote the X-Files to me. And then he blocked me. So I said, thank you, John D'Souza, because now I know trust you for sure. Mm-hmm. And thank you for quoting the X-Files to me, because I now don't trust anyone. And that's actually a good thing. Trust needs to be earned. You don't give your trust to anyone. And I tell people, you'll find out who I am. You walk down the road with me 10 years from now, you and I are still friends, then you actually know who I am. And you've spent the time, because I spent a lifetime with these people who lived 4 and 5 different personalities. I say John, my evil brother, and Darrell, my first handler, I say that they should get the Lifetime Achievement Award for a person impersonating a human being, because they come and they have 5 and 6 different, personalities, and they're like, with this woman, and I'm not married, and this woman, I am married, and then for you, no, I don't want to marry you, even though you're living with me, take care of me. And they have all these different compartmentalized lives, and that also enables them to be prolific liars. So that these are the people that we're dealing with, not just the prolific liars that might be actually in your family, but that are actually in our government, which were fostered from where did all those paperclip people come from? Because it wasn't just 5,000 or 10,000 scientists. It was actually people that were in support of the Fourth Reich, and there were millions that came here, and they're your doctors, your lawyers, your teachers, your husbands, your boyfriends, you know. And I'm not saying to be paranoid about any of this. I'm saying please research everything. If you feel that something's not right, trust your intuition, because they teach you don't trust your intuition. And then I was taught as a child literally to be in denial about everything. So there's a song, I think it's Pam Tillis, called The Queen of Denial. And I sang that song because I was the Queen of Denial. Now I'm not.
It's really hard not to deny certain things or not to look there, because we don't want to see what we've thought is the truth all along. I mean, I understand it's very difficult for people to hear. I've had friends say, "Are you sure John Walsh, he's like America's father?" And I said, well, you have to think about this, okay? Think from a very logical standpoint. If your first child went missing and you were trying to get your grandchildren, would it be really that easy for you to get your grandchildren? Would it be that easy for you to start? And these are people also that have tried to start their own organizations and stuff. And I said, think about it. Was it really that easy for you to start your own organization? No, it's not at all, because you don't have the government money behind you.
Well, when you also realize that the presidents that you thought were your heroes are not, that your government was not what you thought it was, that you have presidents that are sex trafficking children to the White House, and that you have CIA agents and FBI agents that are complicit in this sex trafficking. When they had the finders, they shut it down within like 4 days after they investigated it. And then and it was, interestingly enough, one of the people that was ahead of the finders, when they did a news a press release with this guy, he was wearing a Reagan mask. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Who's actually, this guy's telling you who actually is behind this operation. It's Reagan.
Well, and what was Reagan? An actor. Yes. That's going to be a very difficult thing for people to realize. Listen, Ronald Reagan said some great things.
Though he also said that you could not be the president of the United States unless you were an actor.
So there you go. Maybe we should just leave everybody at that. Penny, what do you think? They can go look it up for themselves, because I think many people have forgotten that Ronald Reagan came out of Hollywood, and, you know, and that he is also in the movie and complicit to the drug trafficking under Bear Seal, under that same movie that I keep mentioning. And I think it's a movie that deserves to be mentioned a million times, because it's a 20-year-old movie called American Made with Tom Cruise, with the life of Barry Seal. And they tell you in the very beginning that it is a true story, that it is based on a true story. And all of those presidents that we mentioned it shows exactly how they did it. They're showing us how they did it. And you know what? There are many people here in Miami that can validate that, you know, through the Cocaine Cowboys days. You know, just put the pieces together. There's a whole series on Cocaine Cowboys on Netflix. You know, why is this out there in the open? Why did Miami Vice come about? Why have they showed movies like, gun trafficking as well? You know, these are people that they're passing laws for us, and then they're letting people over the border with weapons much greater than that. Okay. So we have to just think very logically. Why would this be occurring?
There's a book that I would encourage everybody to get. It's by Dan E. Moldea, Moldea. It's funny, right? DEA. It's called Dark Victory. It's about Ronald Reagan, MCA, and the mob. I encourage you to read it, because Ronald Reagan was Irish mob.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think we're going to be finding out lots of these things. In full disclosure, there's also been a lot of documents released that I don't think a lot of us have read, that the Trump White House released before he departed, that are still being ignored. I have not even had a chance to go through them all, to be honest, that I feel like we are just like scaling over, because there was so many released at once. that we're going to be finding out lots of truth. But Penny, I can't wait to have you back on. You know, you can call me anytime. And I want to, just curious, would you be willing to have either a tea with Penny or a Penny, guess who's calling?
Who?
Answer him.
Yes, go ahead. Somebody's on the air.
Jeff, you're live on air. Penny and I are still talking.
Right on.
What would you like to say to the audience, Jeff? We're on the Meghan Walsh episode.
Well, I just want them to pay attention to this story and send prayers up. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jeff,
listen, I'm just heading out, but I need to finish loading up these videos before I go.
Okay, so Penny and I are going to finish this video right now so you can upload it. And guess what? We can't be any more transparent than this.
C'est la vie.
Yeah. Well, I may as well ask because I know it's part 1 and part 2. I sent you a text. Do you want me to combine them or put them up on like maybe for Thursday and then Tuesday?
I think is there any way you could put them back to back, because they so need to kind of go at the same time, because we had a little recording glitch, and then this Meghan episode is kind of a little pressing, right, Penny?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put it up for tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah,
tomorrow, 7 p.m. everywhere except for YouTube.
Okay, sounds good. So you guys will see this on Right On Radio then. We're going to get off, Jeff.
Right on. Hey, get it to me quick.
Okay.
I want to go on my holiday.
Okay, yes, we want you to go on your holiday, Jeff.
I'm working overtime for the audience.
Yes, you are. I know. That's the reason I said we have to answer Jeff, even though we're recording right now.
And good day to you too, Penny.
And
thank you.
We missed you, Jeff.
Yes,
I kept forgetting to let us in the StreamYard. I kept forgetting, I'm in control here. I have to let Penny speak.
I bet you love Jeff right now, don't you, Christy?
So we missed you, Jeff.
Well, thank you. I miss you guys too.
Okay.
And we'll talk next week.
Okay. Have a good vacation, Jeff.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, Penny, that's it. That's the word. If we're going to be on Right On Radio, we have to go before the producer and the owner leaves to go out of town. Yeah, so everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you back, and do make sure that if you haven't already followed Patriots Perspective, Jeff's going to be gone. So make sure you do follow Patriots Perspective on Telegram, YouTube, and Facebook, anywhere else you are online. We may, if we have any breaking news or anything like that, we will go live with it while Jeff is away. I do not have access to the Right On Radio normal StreamYard to be able to publish. So only he has access to that. That's the reason he's calling, saying, give us this video. So that's what we're going to do, Penny. Ciao. And I love you, sister. Thank you for helping Meghan. And I just love our audience. So thank you very much for your support for Meghan, your prayers for Meghan. And we will see you later. Bye-bye. Right on. I always tried to say that and be like Jeff. It just doesn't come out that way, Penny. Okay. We are going to play our outro for Patriots Perspective. If I can remember how to get it up, Penny.
Action. Take action. Don't let big tech win. Share this video with a friend now. Most importantly, do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Bye, everybody.